Oil is up. Why is oil up? Well, the U.S., Iran, this whole thing going on. Well, the ceasefire, has it been a ceasefire? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more in the Rebel's Edge. Giddy up. All righty, welcome to the Rebel's Edge. I've got my man Chris, who has not been with us here, but Chris, it's great to have you. And he's the most instrumental guy when it comes to market rebellion, because he's the guy who's searching out all these unusual option activities that we talk about every single day. So it's great to have you with us, Chris. Are you think you're ready to rock and roll here, man?
I'm ready for my debut.
I like the hat. See, the hat starts the whole thing off. From the macro perspective, Chris, what I'm looking at is obviously the ceasefire news, right? And the fact that it's not really been a ceasefire so far. And that's why oil is suddenly making a move from where it was. It was below 95, but yesterday basically closed, let's say 95. Now we're trading about 101. And that was with a little bit of easing back also. So interesting to see what's going on. I think that part of the macro is definitely what's really the macro piece to this market right now.
Absolutely is. I mean, especially if you've got a ceasefire against 14 different groups, you know, might be one, might be more, but on the macro front, we've got Lebanon and Israel trying to work together with Hezbollah over the last couple of minutes. So more volatility is coming.
Speaking of that, I'm going to hit this volatility right now because that's what I do. But I'll tell you what, Tuesday we hit 28, right? I mean, you look at that chart right there. So we got all the way up towards that 28 level. Wednesday, we actually breached underneath 20 for about a millisecond, but nonetheless, we actually got under 20. And now today, even with this news, things have been kind of digested by the market pretty fast, and people are not really as much on the sales side as I thought we'd see, because we were seeing some negatives, you know, triple digits here and there. Not huge, though, not giving up the 1,300 that the Dow was up yesterday. But nonetheless, it was in negative territory. Well, it ain't negative anymore. Right now, we just went the big three are all in the green. So great to see that. And I'm looking at the volatility index as it's dipped down. It was trading right around 21. Now call it 20 and a half. And do we get under 20? That would be interesting. But you've got something with the poly markets, I think. What do you got, man?
Oh, we're going to talk about the Masters.
On his first day, he's going to the Masters on this thing.
Everybody go have some pimento cheese for me if you're going. But, you know, you look at this stuff and, you know, I think DeChambeau is a really interesting take because he was the leader. If you look at like a 6 month or a 1 year, you know, going back as far as you can. DeChambeau, statistically speaking, is the exact perfect age for all the average winners of the last 30 years. He's 32. That's the average 32. He was the original leader. So going forward, you know, I think that's the underdog pick, I think.
Mm-hmm. I love it, Chris. And I'll tell you why I love it, because a lot of the time everybody just goes, well, what's the best one? Oh, the 14% going with Scotty. All right, well, that was easy. But I like what you're doing because you actually went with one that's a little bit more difficult and the possibilities are there. And you know what? We'll be watching that close because today is the start of that Masters and it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. All right. Are we ready to kick it off, man, with some of these stocks that are moving around right now?
Let's do some stock stuff.
All right. STAAR Surgical. Now, it's not a name that everybody knows. It's basically for vision. These guys do a great job with these implantable lenses and all the rest of it. That stock is up today 25%. Why is that? Well, strong guidance. If you come out with that strong guidance, you're going to get the big move, even if you miss on the earnings themselves and the revenue. That is very, very consistent. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. But it is something that people want to know what's going on forward. They love hearing how well things went before, and this went very, very well. As a matter of fact, what really stands out is the net sales, which have doubled from the 2025 run that they've had. They've got strong growth. They've got everything you'd want, and they've been displaying discipline along the way as well. So that's why this stock is absolutely moving to the upside. By the way, shorts, somewhere between 15 and 20% of the stock out there is short. So is there a little squeeze going on? I'm going to say yes. What about you, Chris?
Definitely a little bit of a squeeze. we'll see how long that one takes, and it's going to be great to see what the next update they give is.
All right, we're going to move on to Applied Digital next. Now, this one is one of these names that is a great company. They're doing a lot of things right, but it's early enough and there's still a lot of things going on where you look at the PE for this company, for instance, it's over 500. So that should give you a little bit of an idea. They have huge shorts that are fighting against a lot of the folks out there that are very bullish on this name. And that's why you can see this thing moving all over the place. Last I looked, the shorts are somewhere between 28 and 30%. But they did lose some money in terms of what they were expecting for sure and on their earnings. And that was something that I think fueled the idea that, hey, maybe it's time to take a little something off on this thing. So that's why I think we're seeing this pullback. It's not like it's getting slammed to the downside. Last I looked, it was down 5-6%, something like that. But they just weren't able to deliver what people were expecting. And because of that, they're taking a little bit of punishment today.
Well, with high operational costs like that, they definitely, people are waiting to see, what can change in order to get back on board and see if they can cut some of those costs down.
I think you're right on that, Chris. All right. So Merlin. Now, this is one probably not known by a lot of people, autonomous systems, and a lot of this having to do with the defense sector and all the rest of it. That stock, as a stock, since it got out there in the public, is actually down 17%. Today, the stock is actually up 18% from yesterday, and it's making a pretty nice move to the upside. I think the reason it's spiking the way it is there's a lot of shorts in this one, and I think it feels like it's some short covering, Chris, that's actually starting to get in there and pop up that Merlin up there towards almost up 20% today as we're looking at it right now.
And that's one with the highest short interest that, if the market continues to do the way it is, that might be the one to follow along pretty closely.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here's another one. The last one that I think you want to keep an eye on is Simply Good Foods. Now, this is an interesting company, but unfortunately, they find themselves in a very tough space right now because they're seeing huge declines in their sales. Well, why is that? Well, because increased costs are coming out there. Their guidance, they had to cut that significantly. And because of that, these guys, unfortunately, the second you even mention the word, all right, guidance, and you follow that up with, we're going to miss what we actually said before, that's not good. And that's why that stock today is sitting down about 20%. The stock's off 68% year to date. There's the chart. It shows it all. So they've been really, really struggling. Is it tariffs? Could be. Is it, the price of different things like cocoa, because they do a lot with bars and so forth like that? Yeah, that's part of it. And you can see upper left to the bottom right, that's not what you're looking for when you're looking for a company that you hope is going to do a lot better than that, because that's about as bad as it looks right now. And they're starting to run out of time, Chris, when I look at it.
Short of a short squeeze with rising input costs the way they are, you can't see this thing turning around anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the problems with these. All right, Chris, we got one last thing that we love to do here, and it's the Rebel Sports. And you're an athletic guy, and you're a sports guy, so you can be a part of this whole conversation, just like I often do with John. But the NFL draft kicks off on April 23rd through the 25th, right? It is amazing, but these guys will have ratings watching the draft that will blow away the NBA, Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, anybody you name. But they've shifted a lot of things around, and more so this year than I've ever seen before when it comes to the teams themselves, getting free agents here and there and building themselves up. I think the Raiders are a great example of that, and that's one of the teams where I'm looking at it. They did something very interesting the other day where they picked up a very veteran quarterback, right? And Kirk Cousins. And everybody's looking at that going, well, why would they do that? They got the first pick in the draft. They're going to go for Fernando Mendoza. Why would they do that? Well, because Fernando has not thrown a ball in an NFL game yet. And a lot of the time when you send the quarterback in immediately, they aren't really ready, right? I mean, and especially oftentimes if you're a very high pick quarterback on a team that's got a very, top 10 picks, the problem oftentimes is they not only need a quarterback, they might need an offensive line. Well, so there's a lot going on right now, I think, within the NFL, other than the fact that I think Fernando Mendoza is an absolute 100% guy who's going to take his first signature with the Raiders will be as the first pick in the draft. I think that's going to absolutely happen. But the interesting thing is after that, there's been a lot of changes going on. And it's just part of the whole NFL and the strength that they've got and the reason that they do so many things well. But I was looking at it, and defensive players dominate the first 10 picks. So I think people are finally figuring out it's great to have an offense that can score a lot of points. You better have a defense that can maybe slow them down. And I know you're out there in Colorado. Your Denver Broncos defense was pretty damn good last year, and that's the reason you guys got to where you did.
Without a strong defense, you don't have a lot. So yeah, can't give up points.
Ain't that the truth? All right, the second one is this, Chris. This is something that I kind of juggle around with this all the time, right? So in Major League Baseball, because they don't have a cap like the NFL does, it's just a totally different way about how it can go, right? So who are the two best teams in all Major League Baseball? Well, the two teams that paid the most. So you're looking at the Dodgers and the Yankees. So they sit at the very top. Here's the interesting thing, however. Every once in a while, some of these other teams that don't pay a lot, but somehow they get the right athletes to be there at the right time. Cincinnati and Milwaukee are a great example of that. And if you look at what they are so far, they're 16-8 right now. Well, the Yankees and the Dodgers are 17-6. You combine the wins and losses of those two, they're basically right there, right? So it's pretty interesting to see that you've got these guys who are paying gazillions of dollars. And meanwhile, you look over at Cincinnati and Milwaukee, smaller places. They don't get the same kind of money as the others, so they can only afford to do it. I think the one thing in Major League Baseball that they need to do is get a salary cap. Because unless you always want to see the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets and some of the others, it's going to be really, really tough to find some of these others that actually can get all the way to the World Series. So one of these days, maybe they'll pull their heads out, but I don't know when. And they've got all these deals with TV contracts and everything else. I just think that they've got to figure out the best way to have a salary cap. It's part of the reason the NFL is so damn good, because it could be anybody. I mean, look what happened this past year with New England and Seattle. That would not happen in Major League Baseball. It just doesn't. So I don't know. I think Major League Baseball's got to at least take a look at that. What do you think about that? Do you agree?
100%. You have to level the playing field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you guys got a pretty cool playing field over there in Colorado, too. I think that's pretty awesome. And because of the elevation and everything, you know what? The big hitters like to go there. I could promise you that.
It's a pretty good playing field, but we have the Dodgers coming in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to go see them and not looking forward to it because the playing field isn't level.
All right, Chris, great to have you with us, man, as always. And thanks for all the hard work that you put in each and every day with all the other stuff. This hopefully was just a little bit of a break for you to get over here and talk about the markets, but also talk some sports. So great job with that. Really appreciate it. And I'll be talking to you probably in the next hour or two about something. Have a good one. How fun is it going to be, that trip to Chicago, for everybody to be able to get to Chicago and actually go to the trading floors and see how it actually works and all the rest of that? And that's something that I think it's April 22nd to the 24th, something like that.
Yep, the VIP party starts 22nd, but the actual in-person on the floor, and there's still a couple seats left, they tell me, folks, 23rd and 24th of April, SIBO Global Markets in Chicago. You can go virtually or you can come in person. I recommend the in-person because to see that floor while it's still there is special. So if you're somebody who's trading right now and you'd like to see what it's like down on the floor, by all means, this is a can't miss event.
Yeah. Such a cool area. It's such a fun, so much nostalgia and everything else. I mean, that place is fantastic. I love it. Still, I miss it. I miss it still to this day.